Have you ever wondered what events and forces set the stage for the largest conflict in human history, the Second World War? Let's embark on a journey through time to unravel the seeds of this epic tale. In the wake of the First World War, the world was left scarred and weary. The Treaty of Versailles, meant to ensure peace, instead sowed the seeds of resentment, particularly in Germany. Burdened by crippling reparations, the nation was plunged into economic chaos, creating fertile ground for extremist ideologies. Enter Adolf Hitler, a charismatic orator with a vision of a racially pure, dominant Germany. Hitler's Nazi party capitalized on the discontent, promising prosperity and revenge against the perceived injustices of the Treaty of Versailles. As the Nazis rose to power, they began to challenge the post-war order, rearming Germany in violation of the treaty. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, Japan, emboldened by a desire for territorial expansion and resource acquisition, embarked on a campaign of aggression in East Asia. This culminated in the brutal invasion of China in 1937, setting the stage for Japan's entry into the impending global conflict. In response to these escalating threats, Western powers, particularly Britain and France, adopted a policy of appeasement. Haunted by the memories of the Great War, they sought to avoid conflict at all costs, even if it meant turning a blind eye to the aggressive maneuvers of Germany and Japan. This policy, however, only emboldened the aggressors. Hitler, interpreting the lack of resistance as tacit approval, pressed on with his expansionist ambitions, annexing Austria and the Sudetenland region of Czechoslovakia without firing a single shot. In the face of these rising powers, the world found itself teetering on the brink of another devastating conflict. The stage was set, the actors were in place, and the curtain was about to rise on the tragedy that was the Second World War. These factors created a volatile mix that would eventually erupt into full-scale war. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the ignition of this monumental conflict in our next scene, The War Ignites. In the early hours of September 1st, 1939, the world was plunged into a conflict unlike any it had seen before. This was the moment the Second World War officially ignited. The spark, the German invasion of Poland, a bold and unprovoked act of aggression that shattered the uneasy peace of post-First World War Europe. This act of hostility was met with swift retaliation from Britain and France, who both declared war on Germany just 2 days later. Meanwhile, alliances were being forged. The Axis powers, a coalition formed by Germany, Italy, and Japan, stood against the Allied powers, a group that initially included Britain, France, and later expanded to include the Soviet Union, the United States, and a host of other nations. Thus, the stage was set for a global confrontation of unprecedented scale and brutality. The war raged across multiple fronts, from the icy plains of Russia to the tropical islands of the Pacific. The world had never seen such a wide-ranging conflict, and the battles that ensued were as diverse as the landscapes they were fought on. In the east, the brutal Russian winter bore witness to the Battle of Stalingrad, a clash between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. It was a grueling siege, one that saw soldiers fight not only each other, but also the harsh elements. The city of Stalingrad became a symbol of resistance, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its defenders. The eventual victory of the Soviets marked a significant turning point in the war, a blow to the Axis powers from which they would never fully recover. On the other side of the world, the Battle of Midway unfolded in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. It was a clash of titans, the Imperial Japanese Navy against the United States Navy. This battle was a game of strategy, a deadly chess match played out over the course of 4 days in June 1942. The United States emerged victorious, turning the tide in the Pacific and setting the stage for their island-hopping campaign. In Western Europe, the D-Day landings marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. Thousands of troops stormed the beaches of Normandy in a bold and daring assault. The invasion, established a crucial Western front, paving the way for the liberation of Western Europe. Back in the Soviet Union, the siege of Leningrad symbolized the human cost of the war. For nearly 2.5 years, the city was cut off from the rest of the world, its citizens forced to endure unimaginable hardships. Yet, despite the suffering, Leningrad did not fall. These battles, among others, would shape the trajectory of the war and the fate of millions. Each engagement, each decision, each sacrifice was a thread in the intricate tapestry of the Second World War. And as we unravel this epic tale, we come to understand the depth of human courage and resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Amid the chaos and devastation of war, humanity witnessed some of its darkest hours. The Holocaust, meticulously orchestrated by the Nazi regime, resulted in the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews. This horrifying atrocity stands as one of the most chilling examples of human cruelty and indifference. Yet, this was not the only manifestation of such brutality during the Second World War. The rape of Nanking, committed by Japanese soldiers, resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Chinese civilians and disarmed combatants. This event marked one of the most brutal episodes of mass extermination, rapes, and looting during the war. Moreover, the bombing of civilian populations in cities like London, Tokyo, and Dresden blurred the lines between combatants and non-combatants, reshaping the rules of war and leaving scars that persist to this day. These events stand as chilling reminders of the depths to which humanity can sink in times of conflict. While soldiers fought on the front lines, the war also took a heavy toll on civilians back home. The home front was a battlefield of its own, where the realities of war were felt in everyday life. From rationing to air raids, civilians had to adapt to a new normal. In the face of adversity, they found strength and resilience. Women stepped into roles previously reserved for men, taking on jobs in factories, agriculture, and services, keeping their nation's economies running. Workers toiled around the clock, producing the weapons and supplies needed for the war effort. But resistance wasn't confined to the factories and fields. In occupied territories, brave individuals formed resistance movements, covertly fighting against the oppressive regimes. They risked their lives to sabotage enemy operations, gather intelligence, and shelter those persecuted by the occupiers. These unsung heroes, the women, the workers, and the resistance fighters, played a crucial role in shaping the course of the Second World War. On the home front and in the shadows, ordinary people displayed extraordinary courage and resilience. The tide of war began to turn as the Allies scored key victories on multiple fronts. As we delve deeper into the narrative of the Second World War, we find ourselves at a juncture where the seemingly invincible Axis powers began to lose their grip. The Battle of Stalingrad, for instance, was a key turning point in the war. Lasting over 5 brutal months, the Soviets successfully defended the city from the German onslaught, marking the first major defeat for Hitler's forces. This battle not only halted the Axis advance into the Soviet Union, but also marked a significant shift in momentum towards the Allies. Across the globe in North Africa, the Battle of El Alamein also played a crucial role in altering the course of the war. British forces, under the leadership of General Bernard Montgomery, halted the advance of the famed German commander, Erwin Rommel. This victory effectively saved the Suez Canal, a vital lifeline for the Allies, and paved the way for future offensives into Italy. Meanwhile, the Allied landings in Normandy, known as D-Day, marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. This ambitious amphibious invasion culminated in the liberation of Paris and set the stage for the final push into Germany. Yet, it wasn't just the decisive battles that shaped the outcome of the war. Strategic bombing campaigns wreaked havoc on enemy infrastructure, crippling production and sapping morale. Naval warfare, particularly in the Pacific Theater, played a decisive role in curbing Japan's territorial ambitions. Technological innovations, such as the development of radar and the atomic bomb, also gave the Allies an edge. These turning points, however, were not just about military tactics and technology. They were about resilience, determination, and the collective will of nations united against a common foe. They were about ordinary men and women thrust into extraordinary circumstances whose courage and sacrifice ultimately turned the tide of history. Through determination and strategic ingenuity, the Allies finally achieved victory. The Second World War was a collective endeavor, a testament to human spirit and resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. As we reflect on this period, we are reminded of the costs of war, but also of the power of unity and determination in shaping our world. The end of the war marked the beginning of a new world order. As the dust settled, Europe found itself divided into two spheres of influence, setting the stage for the Cold War. The East fell under Soviet control, while the West aligned with the United States and its allies. In the wake of such immense global conflict, the United Nations emerged as a beacon of hope for international cooperation and peacekeeping. This new world body aimed to prevent such devastating wars from ever happening again. The Nuremberg trials served as a stark reminder of the atrocities committed during the war, holding those responsible accountable in a court of law. These trials set a precedent for global justice, underscoring the importance of human rights and the rule of law. Efforts to promote international peace and cooperation became the new focus as the world sought to learn from the painful lessons of the past. The legacy of the Second World War continues to shape our world in profound and complex ways.